Well, I finally got tired of the NC just not fitting me right, and I had to make the switch. And so I finally went up, traded in the NC 750X, and got the 2022 Goldwing. And everybody calls them geezer bikes. Well, I test drove this in the Africa Twin, and holy cow, this thing has power. I've never been on anything this powerful. And, you heard my complaints before in my other videos, and as you can see, my garage has gotten way worse. The comfort of the seat, the very small, ineffective windshield that was on the NC. As you can tell, this is not the case anymore. I ordered the tall windshield, and these little puppies rise up and down. This is an electric riser up and downer. Anyway, that's the button that does that. I mean, this thing is truly a Cadillac on two wheels. Same deal. I got the DCT, no clutch. It's keyless, which is also really nice. You just carry this little fob in your pocket. And I think when you come within a certain distance, let's see. And maybe because I've already walked around it a couple times, that will light up, letting you know that you're within the right distance. But I mean, honestly, as long as you're within a couple feet of it, things work. You got this little push button, unlocks. I already got a couple things sitting in there. And my wife's gigantic purse actually fit in there today. I was really impressed with that. Both sides. And these are electric locks and can only be opened when the key fob is in your hands or near you. And you don't have to slam these, you just set it. Oh, maybe. And then you'll hear the electric lock re-engage. This is actually really cool. They give you this little guy. This is your helmet lock. You stick this through the D-ring, put this in here, and then this little button here locks that. And then your helmet would hang down the side here. And that stays that way until you come and unlock your box and flick this little trigger. And then it pops that back out, and then you can take your helmet out. I thought that was a really neat little extra. Of course, my little bumper sticker I got. I know, hippie. Oh. And then this is the base model. So it doesn't come with the heated seats, but it does come with heated grips, which is really nice. And this is CarPlay and Android Auto. I don't know about Android Auto because I have an iPhone, but the CarPlay is plug-in only. You do have to plug it in. Not a big deal. I think it's just because Apple doesn't like for anything to ever not work properly. So when it's plugged in, there's never any issue. Whereas if it was through Bluetooth or something, there could be interference or something. The screen might get wonky. Who knows? I don't know why they'd stipulate that. You got the your little drive button here. What I really like, and actually, since I have the fob on me, I can show you. Turn it on here. Is the modes on this thing. So on the NC, it actually had a switch that was just neutral, drive. Radio can't even pick up anything in here. It was neutral, drive, and then it had sport on it. And so you would just hold down drive, and then for a second or two, and then it would kick it into sport mode. That's the only mode I drove the NC on, because not only did it keep you in the gears longer, but it also was smart enough that when you were coming to a stop, it would drop the gears down much faster so that it was engine braking instead of burning up your brake pads. This one has modes that you flick through with this little button here. And so you got Tour, Sport, Economy, and Rain. Now, I have not been ballsy enough to run it in sport mode because this is an 1800 cc engine, and I've only used sport mode once, and I was at a stoplight on a road that had a 55-mile-an-hour limit. And so I was like, okay, let me see how fast I can get to 55 miles an hour on this thing. And in sport mode, it scared me. This is the biggest, strongest bike I've ever ridden on. And when you rock this back in sport mode, you're gone. I mean, I hit that 55 mile. It felt like just a matter of seconds. I think it was probably about 4 seconds, or maybe less. Very, very fast. So I generally keep it in tour mode. Tour mode's kind of a nice little middle ground. My biggest complaint is in tour mode, you do have to come over here and hit your minus for your gears. Same as the NC, minus here, and then the plus is on the front here. When you're coming to a stop, if you want more engine braking. Otherwise, it still shifts it fairly well. But for my taste, I do it myself. And, you know, that's for you to decide how you want to do that. This thing is just like the NC, very smart. It knows when to change. It's got cruise control. You turn it on, and then just like in a car, you got set here, and you just set it, and whatever. Well, it's not going to do it because I'm not moving. And then you just up, you know, to increase your speed, down to decrease your speed. I think each button press is just 1 mile per hour difference. So if you 5 times from 70, you'll be at 65. Real easy. Let's see. The way you navigate. Let me turn this off. And actually, my heated grips are on right now, so you don't want that draining the battery. So that's where that shows. You press the button that is here. And over here you got 5 levels. I had it on, I drove to work. It was 30 degrees 2 weeks ago in the morning when I was on my way to work. I had it on level 5 and I had to end up turning it down because it was burning my hands. So it works really well. So I wanted to tell you about this little guy. So when you're in CarPlay, I can't show you because I'm recording with my phone, which is you get your home button here. And it'll be an icon that pops up in this corner right here. It'll say CarPlay. And you can come over and select it. And when you're in it, if you want the music coming through the speakers, like you're around town, you know, you want to be that guy. I'm that guy. How I do it. You know, I'm blaring my music rolling down the street. You could say it's situational awareness for the other cars around you, know, just so they know you're there, since this has loud pipes when you're revving it, but just cruising, it's not ridiculous like a Harley. But if you smack this while you have your Bluetooth headset connected, it immediately switches it to your headset. And it's same thing. If you got a passenger, same deal. You hit that and switch it to the headset, which is this little indicator here, which... That's interesting. My helmet shouldn't be turned on right now. Interesting. I don't understand how it's showing that. Oh, you know what? I think it actually has a number 1 in it when it's connected. And then your passenger will be next to it with a number 2. Sorry, I'm still pretty new to this bike. I've only had it about a week or so. But setting that up is real easy. I want to say it's in vehicle settings. So over here you got this nice little... up and down arrow deal. So this doesn't actually navigate, as far as I know, on most screens. This is so that while you're navigating your screens, let me see, I'll back up. So while you, so see, I'll push left. Okay, right now it's doing it because I don't have any music playing. So that's interesting. When music is playing, especially on CarPlay, like if it's through Apple Music or one of the other apps, this only flips through tracks or stations. And so you only get the up and down. And so like if I press down from here, it resets me over to here and vice versa. So it's not a huge problem. You get used to it. In fact, I don't even use these like this because I know it doesn't work when the music's playing, which I always got music playing. But this thing here also works. So this has up, left, right, but you can also twist it to select. And I believe same thing here when music is playing. If I try to do left or right, it just changes stations or changes tracks, depending on if you're doing Sirius XM or whatever. So same deal, but you get the extra option of twisting it instead of pushing up and down. So again, let's see, we'll go, I think it's actually under audio settings. So you would go Bluetooth setting, and see I already have myself and my wife paired up. Sorry, that's me, and then that's my wife. So passenger HS pairing, rider HS pairing. And let's see, let's go back one. You can Bluetooth any phone if you don't want to use CarPlay or Android Auto. And that's where this would come in handy, where you can download the phone book and stuff. Oh crap, forgot to turn those back off. Draining my battery. Anyways, and then you can still, it'll show, I don't know if it shows names or anything when people call or whatever. It's better to just use CarPlay or Android Auto because you get a heck of a lot more features. I wish I could show you, but if you're familiar with CarPlay and Android Auto, it's basically like a second screen for your phone. I got the Waze app on here, which if you don't know about Waze, look it up right now. That is super handy, especially when I'm sitting around here. The built-in navigation I haven't used either. Again, if you just use CarPlay or whatever, you got, Google Maps, which is probably more reliable. But it's still nice to have, phone stops working, you don't get any signal, whatever, phone dies. Well, it shouldn't if you get it plugged in. But anyhow, you get the idea. Audio sources, man, you got tons of options here. So regular radio, that's a classic rock station here. AM, SXM, you can use. Sorry, I guess I recorded too long. You can do the USB, which is where you plug in for CarPlay. Also has iPod settings, so you can take an old iPod if you still have one. And then there's an... Okay, sorry for the cuts. Apparently, I forgot to turn the Bluetooth off on my phone, so that's why it was showing that symbol up there, because it was, in fact, connecting to my phone. So the reason why I got confused is to do Apple CarPlay, you have to connect the Bluetooth headset on your helmet to the bike, and then you connect your phone. And it's just how it has to interact with your, phone to, bring up the, like I can press the Siri button or, OK Google or whatever here. And so it's just a weird way where it has to connect through the bike first, then it connects to your phone. And so that's why I got confused. Okay, so you can Bluetooth the phone straight to the bike and get some functionality. And that's what was happening is I was pressing this source button and I hit Bluetooth and it automatically took control of my phone and killed the video a second ago. So good to know. I didn't even realize that. If you're familiar with the Goldwings, they have a reverse gear. I don't want to turn this on because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and my wife and child are asleep and the garage is closed. But basically, you squeeze the brake here as tight as you can while pressing this button here. This is your forward and backwards button. So this initiates it. I don't even think I can show you. No. Anyhow, and then you use your gear shifter buttons. The minus one is your reverse. And I think there's actually ways to change how it reacts to you pressing it. But mine is set to where as long as I'm holding it, I move, and the second I let go of it, I stop. And then the same with the plus button. As long as I'm holding it, I move. The second I let go of it, I stop. But it's not very fast. We're talking like 1/10 of a mile an hour. Like you're barely moving. It's just to help you out. I'm a younger dude. I'm only 33. I don't ever use it. It's handy, but even when I've been on a hill, I can manage this bike just fine because this bike does not weigh that much. Or rather, it doesn't feel like it weighs that much. So there's a little white light you'll see when your key fob's in range. Because everything sits so low the engine is way down here. And then there's its transmission, which is a drive shaft. There's no belt, there is no chain. I didn't know that at all. I learned that at the dealership. That's really cool. But you can see here, it's got these little plastic covers. And if I'm not mistaken, the little, what do they call those? Crash pads or something that are supposed to scrape the ground to let you know, hey, you're leaning too hard, are perfect. And I first 2 days I had this, I took it down a country road, and I went with a group of friends that ride, basically crotch rockets. And some of those curves were extremely sharp, and I had my wife on the back, and we didn't scrape once. And I had this thing leaning as hard as I've ever leaned a bike in my life, and it still never touched. So that's truly amazing that everything sits low, but the suspension, the tires, the build of the bike, I mean, it just handles it like a freaking charm. I sat on a bike at the dealership that was 100 pounds lighter than this, but the engine sat, really high up here, and it felt like that thing weighed a ton. Whereas this, you get on it, and the NC I had, if I'm not mistaken, was 400 pounds, and it felt heavier than this bike just because the engine sat up higher. Now, don't get me wrong, these are not cheap. The only reason I finally did it is because they offered me a premium price on my old NC. I guess, same as cars right now, everything's just going for super, super expensive. So it worked out in my favor. And this is my new daily commuter. I've only had it, again, like I said, I think I bought it last Thursday, and I already had to do its first service. It wasn't much. I think they said it was 600 miles or whatever, and I think I'm just under 1,000 right now. But that's just in 1 week, less than a week. Yeah. No, it's been a week because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It's Friday now. Anyhow, as far as comfort goes, I have never sat on a bike more comfortable than this. My Yamaha, my NC, I eventually got a new seat for the NC, but it still couldn't compare to this. I mean, this thing is thick and very supportive. Just look at the size of that thing. And then my wife sat back here. We did a whole ride out in the country. I want to say we were on the bike 6 hours. No problems. She didn't feel fatigued. I didn't feel fatigued. This thing is great. And this little guy is to install a backrest for me that Honda offers. There's some third-party brands you can do, but it already has like this little lip here that really isn't too bad. You just have to remind yourself and get the better body language that muscle memory that I don't have, and sitting upright whenever you're on a bike. I just, it's so easy for me to slouch on this thing, especially whenever I'm tired or cruising home. I forgot I wanted to show you a couple of things here. So again, keyless, you just twist it to on, and then when you're ready to rock and roll, you push this button here. But anyhow, your little screen raiser. So with this tall windscreen, it's like driving with a wall on your bike. It did take a couple of days for me to get used to it. Again, I apologize for my garage mess. We just had a child in December, and we kind of just took everything in the house that was in our way and just kind of threw it out here. And so it's a disaster zone. You got your volume up and down here for your stereo, and this thing gets pretty loud. When I forget and leave the volume at 20 or whatever and come out and turn this on, it'll scare me sometimes. This is also really nice. The quick little, just tap that to flash your brights, and they're actually really bright. It's just hard to tell because there's an old decrepit chair there in the way, or you just flick it forward to leave them on. flick it back to turn them off. What else? Okay, so over here you got these gauges. So the air temperature in here right now is 64. So let me turn this volume down. I got my, okay, so I haven't put as many miles as I thought, 825. I was at 600 2 days ago. So I've put another 225. I can't help it. I love driving this thing. It's claiming 218 miles right now with the full tank of gas. I don't know what I'm actually getting because it's a new bike and I like to WOT a lot. For those that don't know, that means this. Wide open throttle. And it's just too tempting. So I don't, if I had to guess, I'm probably getting about 35 miles per gallon, which is not good for a motorcycle. Obviously, that's terrible. But if you're conservative and don't WOT all the time, I bet you could get over 40, which is still a lot considering this is a 6-cylinder engine. You got 3 on that side, 3 on that side. I mean, this is a big engine. Anyhow, so you got your temperature gauge there. You got these buttons here, select and set, and that is, as far as I can tell, that's all these buttons are used for, is for this gauge over here. So select, you pick between the two. That's the only two you can pick through. So if you hit select, that switches through, and then set switches through what that gauge is. So this one shares your temperature and your when you're in cruise control, it'll tell you what it's set for. So that's miles per hour there. So if you've got it set for 70, it'll just confirm it there, just in case you can't quite tell if the needle seems off a little bit. I don't really care. I just leave it there. And then here's where your tripometers are. So trip A, trip B, which maybe I'll use that to figure out how much miles per gallon I'm getting. So that's basically it for those 2 buttons. I told you about this info when you're driving and you have it in CarPlay or whatever. CarPlay overtakes all the info that you could get from this. So like vehicle, let's see. Oh, it also has auto canceling turn signals, but I didn't care for it because it would turn them off like while I was sitting, you know, waiting to turn. I don't care for it. You could actually change this too if you would prefer it to be, if you're from Europe or whatever and you live here and you want it to be like it is back home. Although it's not changing it. Okay, there it goes. Yeah, the same thing here. You can go Celsius if you like. I do not live in the UK, so I only know the American stuff. I don't know what this does. I think it just changes the brightness level. You can auto dim it at night. So this is cool. So it already has the wiring for it, and Honda sells one, but you can also buy an aftermarket if you want. And that's what that amp there is for you to install a better sound system. The speakers in here are okay. It definitely gets loud, but a guy like me that likes to blare his music, and I also wear a full face helmet, so even with the volume maxed out, you can't really hear this on the highway unless you open your visor up on your full face. That could just be my helmet. I don't know. Anyhow, I got distracted. So the info button just toggles the information that is down below. But when it's in CarPlay, that information doesn't stay. You have to press the info button to... And then I wonder if there's a way you can change that. But anyway, it's not much. So like if you're in navigation or whatever and you want to know what station it's on, or if it's on, you know, XM or whatever, it'll tell you. Octane's one of the ones I like. But in CarPlay, it will only show that information for a second or so. And this is something that never was answered in any of the videos I watched. you can in fact do CarPlay and do like FM radio or XM radio separate from CarPlay. And it's just a quick, okay, I'm on XM radio, I want to go back to CarPlay because I want to open the Waze app. I would just hit the home button. And again, I can't show you because I'm on my phone, but I would just go back and select CarPlay, and then it just pops it right back up and leaves whatever audio source I was using there. Unless I decide to switch, and you can do that. So if you were in CarPlay and I wanted to switch to Apple Music and play a specific album from whatever that's in my library, it will automatically stop the XM and start playing the Apple Music. And again, you just press home button to come back, and brings you right back to, man, I wish I could show you. Anyhow, that's really about it. I've been sitting on it for a while, just explaining this video, and it's like sitting on a marshmallow. It's extremely comfortable. Oh, this is actually too, I didn't point that out. It shows I have my stand down, and this, of course, because it is the DCT, you cannot put it in gear. You can start it. Again, I don't want to, I'll gas myself out. But you cannot put it in drive until you kick that kickstand back up. And also, I believe it shows you when you open the compartments. So we'll open this one. I haven't paid much attention. Yeah, so it shows there. See the little compartment animation? Open, and it does it for both of them. Just the extra little stuff they added in, it really seems to make a difference. Headlights are pretty decent. It's hard to tell, but they have these LED strip accents. So during the daytime, it just kind of helps you to stand out. I don't know if the headlights are LEDs or not, but I don't really care for them. I think they could be a lot better. So I try to avoid riding at night right now. The rears are decent enough. I would like for there to be more, like a light here, maybe some lights down here. See what that turn signal looks like. So it's pretty bright, and the little LED accents stay lit while that's blinking to help give you some more visibility there. Up here, they're on your mirrors, and these stay lit, so the one that's not blinking right now is lit. You know, little safety lights, just the extra features that they put in there. Kind of nice. But that's the profile. Screw it, I'll start it up for you. I don't think my wife can hear it. So that's that.